Hello everyone and welcome to the Software AG webinar, Avoid These 5 Common SAP Blunders. I'm Aaron Joslo, your webinar host, and your presenter is Joseph Blondeau. Now before I give Joseph a full introduction, here are some technical notes. We recommend you listen to this webinar with your computer speakers. You'll get the best sound quality by shutting down your non-webinar programs. Use the chat feature on the left side of your screen to write in with your questions. We'll answer them in the Q&A session following the presentation, and Melissa is the person whom you'll be speaking with or chatting with. If you have any technical issues, you can either call into the tech support number listed below, or you can chat us with your issue. We are asking some polls today, so do cast your vote when those appear. Also, if you'd like to see any of these images in the larger format, go ahead and click the full screen button on the presentation slides. Just be sure to exit it if you'd like to see a poll, vote in a poll, or chat us with your comments or questions. Finally, we are recording this event. You'll receive an email tomorrow with a link to the recording and the slides. So now, to introduce our presenter, Joseph Blondeau, in her role as a product marketing manager for ARIS for SAP Solutions. Joseph is responsible for all SAP-related ARIS products. She works closely with the product management and supports the cooperation between Software AG and SAP AG globally. Further, she is responsible for enterprise management systems. So that wraps up my introduction. That's it for me. Joseph, please, over to you to begin.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, for the introduction. Well, today, as Aaron said, I will talk to you about 5 common SAP implementation blunders. It's quite a different start than usually. I don't want to tell you right from the beginning what Software AG can do for you in SAP project, what ARIS can do in SAP projects, but really I want to start with these common 5 SAP project blunders, and then of course I want to give you some hints and some ways on how to avoid them, on how to go better and to make sure that your SAP projects are really a success and bring all that you want to. So if you're starting an SAP project, I guess many of you already have done that in the past or are doing that right now. Well, basically the whole company is having expectations. The management is having expectations, business and the end users have specific requirements and expectations, and of course IT is wanting to get something also from the projects. So if we look at that in some more details, we see, for example, if I look at the IT side, IT view on an SAP project, of course, IT wants to standardize the solution landscape, wants to make things easier, wants to make the administration easier and a better way. Of course, they may want to align, or they want to align IT with business, so they want to get this chance to get business more included in the SAP system and understand better the requirements from the end users. If we look at it from a business perspective, people want to have better systems, needs to have a better view on the system, and want to go for to get better user acceptance, for example. And the management, of course, wants to improve with an SAP project, with an SAP solution implementation. They want to improve process efficiency. They want to improve process transparency. Probably they want to reduce the implementation time so that, well, it brings somehow money into the company to do such an implementation, which is basically one of the most targets. So basically that's all your expectation, your requirements, and if you don't take care for some things in that, then you can make it all undone and you can get into troubles. So, and that's where I want to ask for your opinion. And Aaron, can you please bring the poll on this?
Sure, Joseph. So everyone, we're going to jump right to a poll here as we get started. This question asks, what are your main pain points in SAP projects? You can actually select more than one answer, so check off as few for as many of those boxes, and we'll give you some time now to cast your vote.
Well, thank you. That looks great. Well, basically, it seems like your pain points do really fit to the main project blunders that we've seen in SAP project. Of course, the process design as the main pain point, all other topics coming from there, the training, testing, communication, and change requests seem to play an important role for almost everyone. So there I will go further into my slides and and review what you said, and also go into these common SAP project blunders that we see. So basically, we see that you may have problem. The topic of process design is a very important one. The business requirements that you take over within the SAP project is a very important topic. And often you have the case that end users and people you're talking to from business just answer a question with, well, I don't know exactly, and well, maybe that's a bit different if we sell in a different country, and maybe, but I'm not sure. Well, that's not important. And that's exactly the point where you should be very, very careful, because if you don't know exactly the business requirements that your business has, then you may have the wrong SAP system configuration. Well, done like that, said like that, it doesn't sound very, very dangerous, but just take an example for that. If you don't know the business requirements, you may not be aware of specific order types, for example, that you have in your company. You may be not aware that you need to create a bill for a specific country but deliver it in another one, and having a customer paying from Germany, etc. So you may have very complicated combinations in the process that you don't know if you don't define in very much detail the business requirements. And that's where you have to be very careful. You said that already before. Process design was the most important pain point in your projects, and where I can confirm this, you have to really take care for that. A second point is topic of testing. So if you don't test exactly the kind of business process that you have in your company, that you may have big problems once you go with the system, and once you make your go live, because the end-to-end process is maybe not working. Also here, take an example. If you do only functional testing, then you may be able to test, create order in the SAP system. So maybe you'll be able to test the VA01 transaction, but you won't be able to test the specific process that I said before, for example. Yeah, having a customer in Germany, sending the bill to France, and delivering somewhere else. If you don't test it beforehand, then you're not sure it's working once the system goes live. And well, that may be a problem, because you're not delivering the materials, you're not sending the bills, and it's not good for your company. Training is also a big pain point, or a big SAP project blunders. If you don't train your colleagues and the business sufficiently, then you will have the problems that you have users who do not know how to use the SAP system. They may have seen that, they may know somehow how it works, but they don't know exactly which transaction to use in which situation and how. And that's where it's very important to have a process-driven perspective on the training. Communication and collaboration is a very important topic, as you need to make the company aware of the system that you're using, aware of the processes that are supported by SAP. And if they are not known, of course, first you have a problem. And if you don't share with your colleagues, if you don't share with all the business, you also have the disadvantage that you don't get feedback. You don't profit from the end user experience that you may get, so you're not able to change and to adapt your processes. And that leads me to the last project blunders that we see in SAP projects, is that you have some very rigid and unadaptable processes. Of course, SAP is known for standard processes, for processes you want to keep and you want to have a long living, But well, nowadays you can't afford not to change. You have an environment where you need to change, and that's where it's really important for you that you think about it beforehand and you prepare for it, because the world is going to be changing and you will have to adapt to that. So, well, to avoid all these kind of project blunders that we see in your SAP project, basically the idea behind that from us is that really, if you go process-driven from the beginning of your project to an end, and you become an SAP-based digital business, then there you will be sure that you have a successful SAP project, because you really make sure that you avoid all these project blunders. It will start with the strategy and SAP project planning. Already at this point of time, you need to think about how to implement the SAP system, what are the targets, what are the processes that you want to implement. With the blueprinting, you will go into some more details, take the processes into the system, model them, define them with your colleagues. Testing, I mentioned that before, will be the next step, so you can make sure processes are working, and training also make sure that people know about the processes that they should use. And last but not least, the change management and process improvement topics, so that you can really make sure everything is working fine. And with ARIS, there you can really make sure that we support the complete SAP life cycle, which is what I mentioned right now, and also that you support all SAP project types. Because when I speak about an SAP projects, we see different kind of projects. Many of you probably already have implemented SAP, already have that in place, so it's probably more about SAP upgrades or SAP optimization projects, or maybe rolling out some templates into different locations. So if we have a look now into details into these 5 blunders, I will go into each one into details, and give you some hints and some topics that we think that you should really consider and take care for within your SAP project. So starting from the process design, the definition of business requirements. When we talk about SAP process design and blueprinting, basically what you need is business processes, and you need business processes that are SAP related. That's the base. If you have these two, then you already have a good chance to be on the right way. When I say processes, that's easy. You can define your processes into different formats into the ARIS database, but you need to make them SAP related, because it's nice to define a process. It's nice to say we need a sales order creation process, but you need to know which transaction you use in SAP, which kind of configuration you will need into SAP. And you will need much more. You will need some interface description, you will need some roles and IT system, and all these kinds of things that make sure that really you can implement exactly the business process that the business needs into the SAP system. Saying that sounds like a lot of work, and that's why we've created performance-ready processes. It's kind of templates in industry-related best practices and processes that you can reuse, and that makes you bit faster in your project, because you can take this database. Basically, you have a lot of process information, you have a lot of SAP related information that makes you faster while you design your processes with your colleagues. So let's assume you're still in this sales processing area, then you take sales processes from your specific industry, you show them to your business department, you discuss that with them, and then you are much faster into designing the process. And that leads also to somehow cost reductions in your process, and also, of course, some savings in your transformation project. Having a look into somehow more details, ARIS for SAP solutions there, it really supports you into two areas. First, it gives you some tools, some wizards that support you while you're doing your SAP process design, that shows what you need to insert, what kind of information the system needs. And you also have some specific conventions, so some specific object types like scenarios, SAP process steps. You have the SAP transactions also inside, and all that kind of stuff that makes it easier for you to define SAP-related business processes. Of course, it's not enough to have only the processes in ARIS. You need to somehow transfer that into SAP Solution Manager, and that's where our interface comes to play, and it basically technically supports you in your SAP project so that the requirements from the business comes into the SAP Solution Manager, and basically it makes sure that they are the base for the implementation into the SAP system. You can see we transfer a lot of data from ARIS to SAP and also the way back. What is important here is really to say that exactly these make sure that your business and your IT, so in that case your processes and your SAP system, are really staying in sync, because you can transfer the data in two directions. So if the process change, you can put this information into Solution Manager. If some settings, some customizing in Solution Manager or in the target environments are changing, then you put this information back into ARIS, so that you can make sure you always know what kind of system and implementation is being used. So that was it for the process design part. If we look a little bit further onto the topic of testing, I would like to have the poll first.
Sure, Joseph. So everyone, it is time for our second poll of the day. And this poll asks, which tools do you use for testing? And you can also select as few or as many options as you like for this one. So go ahead and do that now.
Well, thank you. Well, that's interesting. I see many of you don't use any testing tools, and that's maybe a reason to be a bit worried about the success of the project. But I see also many users using, well, the standard things that we see, so SAP Solution Manager, HPLM, and other standard Office tools. The mixture of testing tools is also something that we see often in real life SAP projects. Testing, as I said, basically is quite an important topic within an SAP project, because it's nice to configure your SAP system, but if you don't make sure that processes are working, then you may have big trouble while going live with this system. So that's why we created within the ARIS for SAP solution a dedicated test designer. And the test designer basically ensures that you are doing some complete testing of your SAP systems, and also supports you in a faster design of the testing of the SAP system. So how does it work? Basically, you reuse your ARIS processes, you reuse your business processes, and then from there, basically you give this tool in the hand of business user, and you give them the chance to design their test processes. So they go through the processes that you have in ARIS, and they define the way to go. So you may see that on the slide. In that case, you have a way going on the right path of the process. You may have different process areas being defined. And basically that's important, because that enables you first that your business is included, which really increases the end user acceptance, because they have decided which kind of processes they should be tested. So they are included, and they feel they have something really to work there. It's also important because they are the ones, business are the ones that know which business processes are important. So you may have different possible solutions within your test design, your process design. You may have different paths to go in a specific process, but finally just business knows how important a dedicated and specific path is in that specific case. So they are defining that, and really that gives you an important information on what to test and how to test that. It will, of course, if you make sure that they create this test path, and it will ensure that you have a complete testing. It will ensure that you are faster with while defining the testing, and will help you to reduce the risk that you have if the system and the process is not working very well. And to come back into the results of the poll, basically the systems that you are using for testing are exactly the ones that we support, that we give tools for, so that you can reuse them in your SAP projects. So as I mentioned before, you first need to think about the test. You first need to do the conception of the test. And then once you've done that, you have several possibilities. You have several ways to do the testing, because, well, every company is different and every company is using a different tool for their testing. So you can either go into the SAP Solution Manager, transfer this test information into Solution Manager. From there, within the Solution Manager, it will be transferred into the test workbench, where you will be doing your test management. So you will have your test user group, you will have your test packages, you will have results, test data, etc. And all that can be reused. All the information from ARIS can be reused in the test workbench. A second way is to transfer from Solution Manager into HP Application Lifecycle Management, so that you can reuse also this test conception and do the real testing in HP for test management, scanning the results, etc. We also know that some people want to go directly from ARIS to HP, so we have also a direct way here to support. And last but not least, we saw that from the results of the poll, we have many we see many companies using standard tools, standard Office tools to do the testing. So that's why you can just export the conception of the testing into another tool and just manage your testing there. But really, once again, make sure that you do some testing, that you're not testing only the functional stuff in SAP, but really that you are testing really the full process. So I guess you've understood that it's important that testing is done right, but I would say training is as important as testing is, because if you don't have dedicated training, if you, your end user, don't know about how to use the system, about how the new process in SAP looks like, then there also you will really run into big problems. So basically, it's important that you think about role-based training. You have different target groups, you have different processes, so you really need to adapt the content of the testing for your colleagues. You need to make sure that all that is always available. And of course, you need, and that's where you really need to make sure it's working. You need to make sure that the SAP and the process world are connected there. So what do I mean with that? You need somehow to find a way to show to your end user, to business user, how the process looks like, and also to connect that information with how it looks like in an SAP situation, in an SAP system. So to take an example, once again, my preferred example on a sales order processing, you show them how the process works, you show and discuss within the training how the different process paths are, quite kind of different processes you've got there, but then you really need to make the link into the SAP transaction. So for example here, an VA01 transaction where you create a sales order, for example. that will bring you, if you really make sure you connect these two topics, it will save time on the training because you reuse data that you have. It will save time also after the go live because business users know how it works and know where they need to go for the testing. And there I would like really to have your experience, and I'd like to have the poll now to see how you're doing the testing and how important it is in your SAP project.
Sure, Joseph. So once again, everyone, there's a poll on your screen. Go ahead and cast your vote now.
So thank you for voting to all of you. That's interesting that, okay, most of you are working or doing the training between 1 week and 3 months, which would be my preferred answer in that case, because it really would show that in your SAP project you put a dedicated focus on the testing training topic, and that it's an important topic that you deal with. I see that some of you have clicked less than 1 week, and we also have some people stating that they are always out of time. That's also one experience that we have, and that's also experience where we really need to just to state and to say again, this is something that really needs to plan beforehand, to when you're doing the strategy of your SAP project implementation, really to plan enough time for the testing so that you can really make sure that it's all working. So I would always plan already a buffer of that and just plan more time than we need so that you're sure that you can deal with this. As I was saying before, it's really important that you take your time, that you plan enough time for the testing. That's one point, and that you plan also to include both the topic of business processes and the topic of SAP together, and that's where you need some solution that really makes flexible information, and that makes it possible for you to have a reliable publication, that you give the process information to all your colleagues there. It will save time, as I said that before, and it will also make sure that really business users have access to the key information, so they don't have this situation that one day they sit in front of their computer and they don't know how to proceed with the system and with the process, and they are just stuck there. If we look at some more details way to do that, as said, it's important that you are connecting business process and SAP information, and that's where I would like to mention a way that you have to make sure that really process information is always available, and SAP information is also always available there. So basically it's about going through a business process, defining, explaining that, and at this point from ARIS, independently if it's ARIS Connect or if it's ARIS Architect, you've got the possibility really to jump directly into the SAP documentation so that you can read some more explanations, or you can maybe see some more technical information. That's one point. So you really, during the training, but also after the training, while working with the system, you've got the possibility really to have all this documentation. And another thing which makes end users' life here very easy is that you don't see only written documentation, you don't only see a document, you really see and you are able to jump directly into the related SAP transaction. So if you want to know how to create a sales order, you will have there a possibility to jump directly into the VA01. Or if you want to create a customer, then you would get the possibility to jump directly in the dedicated CRM transaction, so that you can see how it looks like. And combining all this information for the end users really make sure that they don't only know about the system, they don't only know about the process, but they are really able to connect all this information together. And as I mentioned before, it's important to do the training beforehand, before the go live, but also you will have new employees, you will have people who can't remember what you said in a training, and that's why it's important also to help them afterwards. So they could look at the processes and jump into the SAP system. That's the one way. But another one is, of course, that they are working already in the SAP system. They are already in the SAP transaction there, and they can't remember how the process goes, and they don't know exactly what to do, and maybe they should ask for an agreement of another department, but they don't really know. And there we've got a solution really supporting you with the F1 help from the SAP system. Normally, if you know that, it really leads you to some technical SAP information, and we've done something that you can really connect there directly to the ARIS processes. So you would here press F1 in your SAP system, and you would jump directly into the ARIS process. That would make things easier to understand for you, so you would understand the complete process around this dedicated transaction. So that's really make sure even on the job, even working there, you would have enough information. So talking about information that goes in the same direction, as mentioned before, communication and collaboration are very important now also in this area. And that's why I really want to mention that it's not enough to train the processes, but you really should make sure that these processes are available for everyone in the company, or at least everyone really having to deal with these processes, so that they can see the process. And there we have a specific tool to publish this process information, for example, in your intranet, in your company internal portal, so that people can see the processes, so that you communicate this information to all employees. Of course, it's important to have that in adapted formats. So here you've got a screenshot of a process, but you have also possibilities to use different formats, maybe tables, maybe step views is called, so really very easy design of process information, so that it's really adapted to everyone into the company. If you use such a system, it's also good because you can make sure really that updates are available all the time. So it's not a paper version of a process. It's not something that your users have at their desk and they don't get newest information. They don't get the update. No, it's available electronically, so they can really get the updates well without seeing that. Communication is the base, but collaboration will be basically the thing that will really help you in the SAP project. So really that you can make sure that the system works. Because if you support collaboration, which means process discussion, it will be giving you some possibilities to get newest information, to get some improvements ideas, to discuss about the processes and understand a little bit more about the processes, the contents, the way people live that. And as I mentioned, collaboration. Of course, you also have people, you also have users not being process experts, but anyhow wanting to give some information there, and that's also where it plays an important role. It's called contribution at Software AG. It's basically giving process information in a non-process orientated way. So maybe typing in just one small text and saying, well, I see that we have something strange here in the process. Maybe we could change that. Doing all that will really make sure that everyone in your company knows about the processes. If they know about the processes, it will of course increase the acceptance of the processes and make sure that you have the right information at the right time there. So here I really need to mention one product because it's really a central product that we use in SAP projects, but in also many other business process projects is Aris Connect, which really supports the communication of the processes. As I showed before, communicate a business process, show the process flow in different way. Here we have the example with a business process, but also making sure that collaboration is working. Here you see a collaboration stream, so you have different persons discussing on a specific process and maybe having some new ideas. And last but not least, also collect information from the end user, but also collect information about the system usage. So it's important and interesting for you also from the SAP perspective to see, okay, there we have the most discussion. In these process area, we have the most ideas. In these area, we have the most time that we need some more help, and probably something is unclear in the system. So that's really the tool to help you to communicate and contribute basically in your SAP project. And well, as you've seen, while I was talking about communication and collaboration, basically we directly come into the topic of changing the processes, managing the process improvement, so that you can go with the time and make sure that processes are working fine also after the go live and months and years afterwards. So as I said before, the point is not how can I keep my process stable, because the point is really now your process will change anyhow. You can think what you want about it, but it will change, and it will need to change often and fast. So I think you'd better accept it and plan for it, and beforehand make sure that that you have the process to change the process in place. So if we have a short example there, how continuous process improvement works and what basically a process leaves in an everyday base. Basically, you have people in a company, the business user, they are looking up at the process documentation, they are consuming process information, and probably if it works fine, they will start collaborating with other users, other co-workers in the company. Probably they will ask, what does it mean? How does the process run in that case? And maybe they come up with an error. Maybe they think, well, that's not the way it should work. That's not right now, or probably the legal requirements have changed, and well, I think we should change this process. So it's kind of collaboration and discussion between the business users and the workers in the company. They will come up with an enhancement. They will probably propose some improvements there, and from there it will be your job from the business process management perspective really to collect and to compare of all these requirements and optimization ideas. So you will consolidate that, you will manage that. You probably will have some process owners for dedicated processes. These one will be the one that will have a look at the process changes, at the requirements or enhancement proposals, and that you will be able to get a new version of the process and to make sure that you release it and that you make it generally available. And that's another point I really want to mention there. It's good to be able to change the process. It's good to be flexible, but it's also very important for you and for the success of the SAP solution over a long time that you are sure that you make this information available to other to the users in the company. So you have a process change. You really need to make sure that everyone knows about that. You really need to make sure that people are working and living with this new process and not sticking to their old habits. And that's where really a good base for information will help you, that you have also all this information working in the system. If we have a look at this process improvement and change management process into more details from an SAP perspective. Of course, you may have some process changes, you may have some legal changes, as I said before, but you also may have some technical changes. Maybe the SAP system has changed. Maybe you've got a new updates on the SAP system, and maybe that's also something that you want to push back into ARIS. And that's where it comes in place, that we have also some dedicated tools and supports that help you really to make sure not only process changes are known and communicated, but also SAP configuration changes, some technical changes come back into the process design so that people also there can have a look at it. So yeah, basically that's it. That's what we see as main project blunders for SAP systems. So I mentioned before, the process design and blueprinting is very important. Testing of SAP solutions should be considered in very much details and going into the end-to-end test scenarios. Don't forget the training. Plan enough time for the training. Also plan process and SAP related training together. And well, don't forget that communication and also change and process improvement are really a very important topic in your SAP projects. So we have a lot of customers using this solution already. I've put some statement there. We have Deutsche Telekom, a German telecommunication company. They really they made sure that their project was successful and that the end user acceptance was very high. And really they stated it really came all, not all, but almost all from the test designer and the test design, and this specific topic was really one of the topics that really helped them. If we have a look at another customers like Volvo, with process design, with dedicated templates and well-defined processes, they could reach some big savings also in that area. And yeah, of course, we have this Diplomat group reference where really through the process analysis, through the SAP process design, they could make sure that they could change and reduce their change request by 80%, which is a very time-consuming factor normally into SAP projects. So that's it for these parts. Now we know we have many changes on the SAP Solution Manager side as well. So that's where I would like to have your voting on the next topic, and I would like to know a little bit about your usage of SAP Solution Manager.
That's exactly right, everyone. This question on your screen asks which SAP Solution Manager version are you using? Go ahead and cast your vote.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, from the poll I see a very interesting topic that we have almost half of you participants today that do not use the SAP Solution Manager. Well, to be honest, we have many customers using ARIS and ARIS in SAP projects without using a solution manager or without using the interface between ARIS and the solution manager. So that's not quite surprising. Interestingly, we have nobody on the SAP Solution Manager 7.1, but we have people planning to move to Solution Manager 7.2 or already who are in the SAP Solution Manager 7.2 ramp-up. And that's why I want to share with you some information on my next slide about the integration between ARIS and Solution Manager that probably many of you have already heard about this new Solution Manager, of course. But probably also many of you are thinking and assessing right now what it does mean for them in their specific project. So that's where this information comes in. So yes, there will be a new Solution Manager. It's version 7.2. It's already out already on the market. And with the Service Pack 3, which will come out basically in the summer. SAP will release an API, an interface that will support basically data exchange between SAP Solution Manager and BPA tools. So, and that's where you need to understand that we will still continue to support exactly the same integration that we had before. So the same integration between ARIS and SAP. So what I showed you today is going to be continuing. It's just going to be on a different technical background. It will be based on a different interface that we will, of course, support there. So as you can see, we will continue to support the synchronization and also the navigation between ARIS and SAP Solution Manager, and we will keep working on the governance, collaboration, and also on the integration topic, so that we can make sure that it continues to work for you. So for those of you who are already using, who are not using the interface between ARIS and SAP now, it means that shortly after the release of the API of SAP, we will offer basically a new technical synchronization between both systems. That's for those who are not using that. And for the people or the companies already using the integration between ARIS and SAP Solution Manager, we will also offer in a dedicated release also some migration path for you. So you will really be able, with at the push of the button, that you transfer your data that you already have between ARIS and SAP, that you already have synchronized, that you transfer that and migrate that automatically, so that you can reuse that in your SAP project. And that's planned for the end of the year there. So, and well, basically, I think that was it from my side, and I hope I could give you a good overview about SAP project blunders, and especially on how to avoid them.
Absolutely. So, Joseph, thank you so much for covering all that material. Everyone, in our last 10 minutes here, we're going to get to your questions. A reminder to everyone to cast the vote on your screen. If you'd like to be contacted after this webinar, just let us know how. Go ahead and check off as few or as many boxes as you like. All right, let's get to the first question here. And Joseph, this person asked, okay, training, how hard is it to set up classes and enroll students and then check users' progress?
That's a nice question. Well, setting up classes and enroll students is, from my perspective, really just a question of planning. So if you plan your training beforehand, and if you really plan your target groups also beforehand, that shouldn't be a problem to set up the classes. So you may want to do dedicated regional trainings, for example, but you want also you may also want to create some dedicated functional training, so maybe for sales or for production, and there go with them. And there, that's quite easy to enroll the student and to define your target groups, because you really know where they are sitting. Afterwards, if you have done the classes, if you have all the material available, as I said before, it's best really to make it all available into the company internal communication channel, so everyone can also see it afterwards. Maybe you want to record this kind of trainings. And going to your user progress question, that's what I said before. It's important to collect the information from the system. So if you have, for example, always question in a dedicated process area in ARIS, if you see in sales we always have many questions, or for a specific delivery type we have lots of discussion, that's where you can really track the user progress. And to give a preview also, we are working now on some visual discovery, it's called, where we intend to track the errors and the asking really of the user, very dedicated there, and offer them then afterwards dedicated training if we see this specific user is always asking question about this process area. So there you can track the progress and offer dedicated information there.
All right. Well, moving on to the next question here. Joseph, are there standard solutions within ARIS to plan, control, and document conformity of SAP applications to standards for functionality, integrity, safety, security, or reliability?
Well, if I understand the question right, yeah, we have some solutions to plan, to control, and the document conformity and also the compliance. We have a dedicated solution for that. It's called ARIS GRC, Risk and Governance, Risk and Compliance. And there we are really able to control everything what's done, and we can have specific process viewers and reviewers. We can define different rules so that we can make sure all this kind of compliance topics are really applicable. Maybe further, we also have projects going there also in the direction of electronic signature. So if you go in that idea, or if your question is going into that direction, yeah, we can also there support with a connection to electronic signature.
All right. Next question. How is the connection between SAP and Solution Manager going to work with the release of 7.2 of Solution Manager?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, it's going to be a different technical base as we have now. So for now, we were working with dedicated transport request that we put on the SAP system. It was implementing the interface. All that will be from the past then, and we will really reuse the standard API of the SAP. So when we transfer data, it will be working really over this standard interface there. But maybe it's important also to mention that it will keep the same idea. So you will still be able to transfer your projects, your scenarios, your process steps, and their corresponding transactions. So all that kind of stuff will be secured there. It's just going to be using the standard API.
All right. Let's see if we can't get 2 more questions in our remaining time. Next one, will ARIS show you what has changed in a process from the old version to a new version of a process? So if you make the change in ARIS or if you make the change in SAP?
Well, there's a basic functionality there which is available for a long time in ARIS. It's basically you've got the possibility to compare models or model versions. So if you compare different versions of a model, then you will see that there have been some changes in the process and which data has been changed and how.
All right, moving right along. Joseph, when you mention change management, are you referring to organizational change management or technical change management? What do you see as the key benefit of OCM, and what have you seen happen when there is no OCM?
So I have to read that again. Sorry. Yeah.
Sure. So again, the question is, when you mention change management, are you referring to organizational change management or technical change management? And then the next part of the question is, what do you see as a key benefit to organizational change management, and what have you happen when you see there is none?
Well, if I understand your question right, which I'm not sure for now, really we are thinking about both change management, because for me, if you mention organizational change management, that means that you have some changes in the process or that you have some changes within the organization, and that's of course what I mean with change management. It's going to be changing all the time, so that's something that you really should consider. And when you are talking about technical change management, as I mentioned before, you will have some technical change. You will have a new SAP system. You may have some new technical implementation in the SAP system, and also there. Really, it's considered by the solution I mentioned to you that you really consider organizational, so process change management, as well as technical changes and improvement. So yeah, for the benefits, as I mentioned before, really maybe there's a negative part if you don't do that, because you won't be able to adapt. So I don't see it's not a benefit, it's really a must. You have to do these changes, you have to adapt constantly, and not doing that will be a problem and would bring you into trouble there.
All right. Well, we are going to leave it there. Joseph, thank you for sharing your expertise with us. To everyone who's here, we appreciate you taking time from your busy day to watch. And that's it. This concludes our Software AG webinar. Have a great day, everyone. And with that, we are done.